The Atlanta Braves showed us what it's supposed to look like with a big win over the Brewers on Monday night. Chris Sale dominates, and the Bats hit a bunch of home runs. Let's talk about it on today's episode of Locked On Braves.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and watching this on YouTube, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and leave us a comment down below. Thank you so much for all your support here at Locked On Braves, making us your first listen of each and every day. And big shout out to all my everydayers out there who continue to pour in the comments. I appreciate it. Yesterday's video was really well. A lot of great comments on there. So thank you so much for all of that. Today's episode, we're going to take a look at the 7-1 win on Monday because this is what it should look like. This is what the Braves should be doing. And we finally got to see it. Hopefully it's a sign of more things, good things to come for the Atlanta Braves. We're also going to look at the latest mock drafts, more shortstops being mocked to the Atlanta Braves. I'll also take a look down at the minor league level where there could be some relief arms on the way to help out pretty soon. So a lot to get to on today's episode, which is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Well, it's the one we've all been waiting for. The Atlanta Braves finally played like the Atlanta Braves should be playing, are capable of playing a 7-1 win over the Milwaukee Brewers on Monday night. And I talked about this on the postcast, but I'm going to say it again. You see a pitching matchup of Chris Sale and Aaron Civale. No shot at Civale here, who I've liked in the past on a pitcher that I would have been okay the Braves acquiring for depth. But this is what it should look like. This is what it should be. It should be a pretty comfortable and easy win when you get Chris Sale going up against the team's fourth, fifth starter like this. This is what it should look like. And for a while there, or maybe halfway through, wasn't quite sure about that. The Brewers actually took a 1-0 lead in this one before the Braves scored 7 unanswered. But this is the team. These are the type of results that we should be getting more often. With the great starting pitching that the Braves have had, they should be getting these results more frequently. And hopefully this is a sign of things to come. But can't just take one win from this Braves team and say that now they are on a roll. You're going to need to see a lot. I talked about it on yesterday's episode. While I did say that the Braves are cooked and I have no idea how they come back from this, one thing that has to happen is they have to have a 10-2 stretch. And I talked about that in this stretch they have coming up with 3 against the Rockies, 3 against the Marlins, and a series against the Brewers and a series against the Mets. You sweep the Rockies, you sweep the Marlins, as you are capable of doing, and you win both series over the Mets and the Brewers, and you can go 10-2 in this stretch. And next thing you know, you're getting closer to 500 and you're back in it. But that has to happen now. You are in a position now where you have to have 2 stretches like that, really, in order to try to get back into this thing. But a good step in the right direction when getting the win on a Monday night over the Brewers, which next step to hopefully winning this series. Chris Sale on the mound, brilliant as he has been for a while now. 7 innings. 1 run allowed, 11 strikeouts, a season high for him on 103 pitches. His ERA is now down to 2.79. Only allowed 4 hard hits on the night. He did go back out for the 8th inning, which I was fine with. I was riding around listening on the way home from BBS, listening to the game, and they were talking about Iglesias being up in the bullpen in the 7th inning. And it was a 3-1 game at that point, and I'm thinking, I don't trust anybody to finish off this game other than Chris Sale. So let him go back out there. Unfortunately, he did. He got through that 7th inning, went back out for the 8th to face a lefty and walked him and was ultimately pulled. But the Braves did have a little bit more of a cushion at that point, making it a 5-1 game with 2 runs in the top of the 8th inning. But Chris Sale just, again, masterful as he has been. 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, 11 strikeouts. Like I said, on 103 pitches, only 4 hard hits against, and he has been on some kind of roll for the Atlanta Braves and looking like the Cy Young winner from last year. And the Braves have needed every single bit of it. They just haven't been giving him the run support, but they did in this one. And it's just really great to see. In the month of May, he had a 1.11 ERA in 5 starts. And now through 2 starts in June, he's allowed just 2 earned runs. He hasn't allowed more than 1 earned run since the start against Pittsburgh, where he allowed 3 runs, 2 earned back at the beginning of May. He hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in a game going all the way back to April 13th. He had that stretch to begin the year where he allowed 3, 3, 5, and 3 earned runs. And ever since then, it's been 2 earned runs or less in every single start. So he's back to being the Chris Sale that we all saw last year. As far as the bullpen, I mentioned Iglesias. He was up in the 7th. He did come on in the 8th inning after Chris Sale walked the leadoff batter and struck out 2 and got a fly out in 8 pitches. And that looks more like Raisel Iglesias. Now, the pitches, I didn't think were quite as sharp still. A lot of pitches were still up, but none over the middle of the plate. They were mostly around the edges. So, again, you put Iglesias in a little bit more lower leverage situation. It was a 5-1 game at this point with the Braves adding on in the top of the 8th inning. So, again, a lower leverage situation. And more than anything, hopefully this just helps get his confidence back. Still not throwing that slider. And I just don't know that he can be as effective, especially against righties without that slider. Yes, the changeup is good enough. He can throw it right on right. But again, I think it just makes it easier for righties to know I'm getting something down and in. Either I'm getting the sinker down and in or I'm getting the changeup down and in. And then when there's nothing to scare you going away from you, it just makes it a little bit easier for right-handed hitters to hit Raisel Iglesias. So again, good performance for him. Got the 2 strikeouts, was able to clean things up after the leadoff walk and not let it get interesting at all. So hopefully, again, that's a big confidence boost for Raisel Iglesias. And then Dylan Lee. It went on to be a 7-1 game. I think Dylan Lee was coming in just to close it out no matter what, if it were a save situation or it would have ended up being a 6-run lead for the Atlanta Braves. And he was just phenomenal. And Dylan Lee's always been phenomenal. Go look at his numbers since he's joined the Atlanta Braves, and he has been great, especially the last 3 years. But he throws a scoreless inning, strikes out 2 on 15 pitches. He has a 2.17 ERA on the year, and he might just be the Braves closer. Look, the only reason I've been hesitant to say Dylan Lee is just because we haven't seen him do it before, and you've seen Pierce Johnson do it before. But I think Dylan Lee has the better stuff and is somebody that I trust the most right now out of that bullpen. So we'll see if he continues to get some save opportunities. Again, I know this wasn't a save chance, but he pitched like it was. I mean, he was absolutely filthy in this game for the Atlanta Braves. I believe it was 6 whiffs on 7 swings for Dylan Lee in this outing. That fastball slider combination. We even saw the fastball up to 96. Yeah, 6 whiffs on 7 swings, 3 of 3 on that slider, 3 of 4 on his 4-seamer. So Dylan Lee might just be the closer for the Atlanta Braves. Now, on the offensive side of things, you got 3 home runs in this game. And again, like I said, that's what it's supposed to look like for this Braves team. As much as I want them to be a more well-rounded team that's able to do the little things and score. And I do think you need to have both in order to succeed in tight games and in the postseason. But over the regular season, when you're facing a lot of 3rd, 4th, 5th starters and some bad bullpen arms, this is what it's supposed to look like. You get a home run from Ronald, which was just an amazing shot. I mean, it's a fastball up and away, a little bit out of the zone, and he is able to hit it the other way with ease into the second deck over there in right field. That is just some unreal power potential. He reached base 3 times in this game and scored a couple of runs. You had Austin Riley had 3 hits in this one. Matt Olson had a home run and also walked twice. Ozuna had 2 hits and 2 RBI attacked on there late. So this is what it's supposed to look like. The top of the order, getting it done. Drake Baldwin's over 4. He did have a walk in this one and a couple of hard hit balls. But as we've been saying for a while now, if this thing's going to turn around, those guys at the top, particularly Acuña, Riley, Olson, and Ozuna, they've got to come up big and they've got to be your producers. And they had 5 of the team's RBI today. Eli White had the 2 other runs batted in with a home run that he had in the 8th inning to extend the lead. We talked about it on the postcast too. I've been saying it for a while. I just think Eli White needs to play every day over Alex Verdugo. I just think he does more for you. And I don't mind Alex Verdugo's left-handed bat off the bench to come in and hopefully give you a professional at bat. He didn't give you many of those on Monday night with the 2 strikeouts looking, but I do think it gives you a veteran bat off the bench in a big situation for a Nick Allen, especially on nights where Drake Baldwin is starting and you have that left-handed bat off the bench. So I just think Eli White needs to play every day. Not that I think he's, worlds better than Alex Verdugo. I just think he can do more for you with his speed and on defense. But again, great win. Hopefully the start of something. It's got to start now. And this is what it should look like. So it was a fun game to watch. I wish we could have seen more of these throughout the year. Again, hopefully we're going to see a lot more of these going forward if the team continues to hit home runs like this, get the great pitching, which they've been getting, and maybe things get a little bit more settled in the bullpen if Dylan Lee can take over that closer's role. All right, next we'll take a look down at the minor league level, some highlights there and some more relief arms that could be on the way to help out soon. We'll get into all of that here next. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades at supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. And when you use our code SH5, you'll get 5% off your first order. Again, that's code SH5 for 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com. Thank you as always for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. They'll get you caught up with everything happening around at Major League Baseball, whether it's solely with his everyday podcast or the guys for MLB Game Night. You can get that in the same feed on the Locked On MLB podcast. Coming up this week, we'll have 2 more episodes. We'll do one on Wednesday night to wrap up this Brewers series. We'll have another one on Thursday, and then we'll have our mailbag episode on Friday. So that's coming your way the rest of the week here at Locked On Braves, as well as the postcast with me and Lindsay talking about the rest of these Brewers game and what's happening over the weekend. Now, as far as what's happening down on the farm, we'll start at Gwinnett, where not a lot of hitters. You're going to see the hitting pool for the Atlanta Braves is still very, very thin. There are some hopeful bats at the lower levels, but they're at the lower levels and not really a lot to go off of right now other than just excitement. But Carlos Rodriguez continues to be one of the better hitters at AAA, 6 for 20, a walk and a stolen base. Jared Kelenic, 4 for 22 with 2 doubles, a walk and 8 strikeouts and a stolen base. I got a question for you. Let me know in the comments section below. Is Jared Kelenic in the organization post-trade deadline? It feels like one way or the other, the Braves are just going to have to move on from him at this point. And it's probably the best for all parties involved. And that's going to, if that happens, and whether that happens or, he just flounders in the AAA system for a while for the Braves, that is starting to look like a really bad move for Alex Anthopoulos at this point. You took on a lot of money that you could have spent elsewhere. And I get it. You were trying to go get a cheap, controllable outfielder that you thought and hoped that you could turn around into the player that many thought he could be, but you couldn't. He's still not doing well at AAA. I don't know what the future holds for Jared Kelenic, but if things don't turn around quickly, it's looking like a pretty bad move for Alex Anthopoulos. On the pitching side, at Gwinnett, Davis Daniel, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, 1 home run, and 8 strikeouts. Jesse Chavez, 2 innings, no hits, no walks, no earned, 5 strikeouts. Giancarlo Lara, inning and 2/3, a hit, 3 walks, 4 earned runs, and 4 strikeouts. Had 2 outings last week, and in his second one coming on June 8th, 1 inning, no hits, no walks, no earned, and 2 strikeouts. And in that one, he threw 11 cutters and got 3 whiffs on 5 swings and 4 called strikes on that cutter. Only 2 four-seamers and 1 slider. So if he's able to figure something out with that cutter and it becomes a pitch that he's able to throw for strikes more, then just get him up. I mean, I need to see a little bit more than this, but he obviously has the stuff, and it's big-time stuff. It's just a matter of throwing strikes. You look at him at AAA so far, 6 1/3 innings. He's only allowed 3 hits, but he's walked 8 batters, 11 strikeouts though. So it's big time stuff. It's command issues, but it can get a ton of strikeouts. It's not all that different than what we've seen from Daysville Hernandez. But if you can maybe throw in this cutter a bit more is helpful. Maybe it's something that he can throw for strikes a little bit better. Then maybe you have something there. I don't think you wait too long on Giancarlo Lara. As much as you need some dominant bullpen help, I think if he figures something out and he goes on a run and has 3 or 4 consecutive, pretty good relief outings and the walks are coming down, the command looks better, I think you just give him a shot. Again, what do you have to lose at this point? Hurston Waldrop had a bit of a rough week. He had 2 starts. His first one, 5 innings, 4 hits, 4 walks, 3 earned, 3 strikeouts, 48 pitches in the zone and 39 out. Kind of odd considering he walked 4. Only 6 hard hit balls against an 89.9 mile per hour average exit velocity. Only a 25% called strike plus whiff rate is not great. A lot more 4-seamers than sliders in this one. We had seen him, going more slider heavy, but threw a lot of 4-seamers in this one. So a bit of an odd start there. But then in his next one, he only lasts a third of an inning, gives up 6 runs on 2 hits and 4 walks with no strikeouts. He did throw more sliders and 4-seamers in that one, but not really enough information to go off of. Clearly, in both of these starts, he started to struggle with command again, walking 8 batters in those 2 outings, essentially 5 1/3. He walked 8. And you just wonder maybe the new mechanics got out of whack. I haven't had a chance to go back and look. But a rough week for Hurston Waldrop, who seemed to kind of be figuring things out, and now it's been a bit of a rough stretch for him. Ian Anderson, 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 walks, 3 earned, 1 strikeouts. He is what he is at this point. I just don't know. I don't know how much longer you can wait on Ian Anderson to figure out the command issues. It's been a problem his entire career, and nothing has changed. Another arm that I think could get a shot in the bullpen sooner rather than later is Roldy Munoz. 2 innings, 1 hit, no walks, no earned, and a strikeout last week. His sinker averages 98 miles per hour, and in one of his outings last week, he got 4 whiffs on it. So he pitched 2 innings last week. One of them was just a 1-batter appearance, and he got an out, and the other one was an inning and 2/3, and that's the one where he had 4 whiffs on that sinker. I've always loved the stuff of Roldy Munoz. It's another one. It's just command. Can he throw enough strikes? But it's big stuff for Munoz. So you're looking at 2 arms right now in Lara and Munoz. If you want power arms, those guys are there, and they're sitting there at AAA. And I got to think if things continue to go the way that they are for the Atlanta Braves, they're going to get a shot in the bullpen at some point. Down at Columbus, David McCabe went 7 for 22 with 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts, having a pretty good year for Columbus. Geraldo Quintero, mentioning him because somebody talked about him on the Mailbag podcast, 5 for 20 this past week, a double, a triple, no walks, and 10 strikeouts is not ideal. On the pitching side, J.R. Ritchie, 5 innings, just 1 hit and 2 walks, 2 earned runs on home run, and 7 strikeouts. Blake Burkhalter, 6 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 3 earned, 6 strikeouts. And while I'm happy for him because he seems like a great guy, and he's from Auburn, so he's definitely a great guy, or he went to Auburn. Well, I'm glad to see him having the success he's having as a starter. He could be in the big league bullpen right now. He already has a pitch in that cutter that can get major league hitters out. And if the Braves were to just convert him to a reliever, I think he could be in the big league bullpen soon and probably be one of your better bullpen arms. But he is doing well as a starter, and they're going to continue to give him that opportunity. Maybe later in the year when you're trying to limit his innings, you put him into the bullpen. But again, I feel like you need all the good bullpen arms that you can get, and Blake Burkhalter might be one of your best bullpen arms in the system right now. Lucas Braun, 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 walks, 5 earned, 1 home run, and 5 strikeouts. Ian Mejia, 6 1/3, 4 hits, no walks, 2 earned, a home run, and 4 strikeouts. He's going to be a solid trade candidate, I feel like, at the deadline. If the Braves are buyers and they want to go out and do something small. Ian Mejia has done nothing but produce, and so the numbers look great. Maybe a team is enticed by that, and they want to take a shot on him and get something small in return. I'm not talking about a big deal here. And then Hayden Harris, 3 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, no earned, 3 strikeouts, and a save last week at Columbus. And then he gets the call at the AAA. I've been talking about Munoz and Harris all year long, and Gwinnett's just had a roster crunch for a lot. They've had a lot of pitchers that needed innings, and so they didn't have the room for guys like Munoz and Harris, but now they do. And I've been saying all year long, I think those guys need to be at AAA. I think they need to be knocking on the door of the Braves roster at the big league level. So you're talking about 4 arms right now in Lara, Munoz, Harris, and I think Blake Burkhalter, if you wanted to, that I think could be in the Braves bullpen right now and have the stuff to do so. They obviously are young, they're unproven, but I think they have the stuff to be big league relievers. And so we'll see what happens the rest of the way. But there is some bullpen help coming for the Atlanta Braves. At Rome, EJ Exposito had a huge week, 10 for 23, a double, 3 home runs, a walk, and a stolen base. Jace Grady went 5 for 16 with a double, 2 walks, and a stolen base. On the pitching side, Jacob Gomez in 2 games pitched 4 innings and struck out 6. And Garrett Bauman in 4 2/3 innings struck out 5, 2 walks, 6 hits, just 1 earned run. Luke Sennard, 5 innings, 2 hits, 3 walks, 1 earned run, and 3 strikeouts. At Augusta, Colby Jones, 8 for 22 with a triple, 3 walks, 3 stolen bases. Owen Carey, 6 for 21 with 2 doubles, 3 walks. Isaiah Drake, 4 hits, a double, 5 walks, and 3 stolen bases. He just continues to show a better approach at the plate. So even when he's not having a week where he gets a bunch of hits, he's still able to get on base and steal and do some other things for the Atlanta Braves. So he's having a good season. John Yale, too, talked about him last week, all the hits that he racked up. He only had 2 hits this week, but he walked 8 times and stole 4 bases. So he's another bat that can do a little bit of a variety of things for you. And then on the pitching side at Augusta, Cam Miniti, he was just waiting to get up to full season ball. A bit of a struggle for him as he was coming back from an injury pitching at the FCL level. But his first start at Augusta this year, 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 earned run, and 8 strikeouts. Jacob Kroger, 5 innings, 2 hits, no walks, 1 earned, and 7 strikeouts. Jeremy Reyes, 4 2/3 innings, no hits, did walk 4 and hit 2, but also struck out 7. And then Raven Antonio, a name that keeps popping up in these weekly minor league spotlight podcasts. 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned, and 5 strikeouts. And then finally at the rookie level, Dalton McIntyre goes 8 for 20 with a double, 3 walks, and 7 stolen bases. Juan Mateo, 7 for 9 with 4 walks and a stolen base. Junior Garcia, 5 for 22 with 2 doubles, a home run, 2 walks, and 2 stolen bases. And then Jose Perdomo, 4 for 21, a double, a home run, no walks, to 5 strikeouts. And I mentioned those 4 in particular because those are the 4 that have been there pretty much the entire time at the FCL level. And of those 4 regulars, Perdomo has the lowest batting average, the lowest on-base percentage, and the lowest OPS. And he's tied for the fewest walks and has the fewest number of steals. Now, that could be that he's taken a little bit easy coming back from injury last year and just not running a lot because he also is the only one that doesn't have a caught stealing. So probably just not being as aggressive on the base pass. But it is a little concerning that of the 4 regulars, he's essentially been the worst of that group. I was hopeful that he would really take off early on at the FCL level to the point where we may see him get a promotion to Augusta. Now, we're talking about 75 at-bats. It's still a very young point of the season, and a guy that didn't really get to play last year professionally because of the injuries is coming back from that. I am not at all concerned about the long-term picture for Jose Perdomo, but just selfishly, I was hoping he was going to get off to a huge start and we could see him get bumped up to full season ball, but that has not been the case yet for Perdomo. On the pitching side at the SCL level, Kendi Richard went 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, no earned, 6 strikeouts, and Wilmer Guerra 2 games, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. And then in the Dominican League, I'm just going to mention the notable names. Diego Torrens, just 3 for 21 to start, a double, 4 walks to 5 strikeouts, though, and 2 stolen bases. And Roddy Reyes, 2 2/3 innings, no hits, but did walk 4, 1 earned, and 3 strikeouts. So that's everything happening down at the minor league level. Again, I think the key to take away from this update is that there are some bullpen arms that are on the way that could have an impact this year, if not this year, in the years to come to really help out this Braves bullpen. Next, we'll take a look at the latest MLB mock drafts, another shortstop being mocked to the Atlanta Braves. We'll take a look at who that is here next. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. And Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use our code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Yes, that's 50% off your first year when you go to monarchmoney.com and use the code LOCKEDONMLB. I promise it's going to help you a ton and take some of that stress of the financial aspect of your life and your relationship out of it with Monarch Money. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB for 50% off, or you can say it this way, half off your first year. However you say it, it sounds fantastic. So go to monarchmoney.com and do that today. So a little bit of Braves news. AJ Smith-Shawver did undergo Tommy John surgery on Monday. Will miss the remainder of this season and most likely most of 2026, which is just a bummer. He was really starting to find his footing at the major league level, asserting himself in the rotation on a regular basis, and now we likely won't see him again till 2027. Hopefully he gets back in 2026 enough to kind of shake off the rust, and you go into 2027, you get a full, regular offseason in 2026, and then go into 2027, competing for a rotation spot. That is the hope right now for AJ Smith-Shawver. And then Nacho Alvarez begins a rehab assignment at the FCL levels. He works his way back. Don't know what the future holds with Nacho. I'll be interested to see, though, where they play him. Because if they play him at shortstop, then maybe they still think he can be that shortstop at the major league level, and maybe even replace Nick Allen to get a better bat in there and maybe use Allen as a defensive replacement. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Nacho. Obviously, he's been out for a while, since pretty much the beginning of spring training, so probably going to take him a bit to get up to speed. The pitching matchups for Tuesday: Grant Holmes versus Quinn Priester. Quinn Priester's done a good job of missing barrels this year and getting the ball on the ground. 15.4% K rate and 11.1% walk rate. You don't get away with that unless you're getting weak contact on the ground, and he's been doing that. Sinker, slider, cutter, and he'll mix in a few off-speed pitches. The slider is his put-away pitch, but you can get to the sinker and cutter at 93 miles per hour. Now, I did want to end here looking at the latest mock drafts because we had a couple of new ones come out. The latest one from Baseball America has the Braves taking high school shortstop Josh Hammond out of the state of North Carolina. Hammond ranks 30th on MLB Pipeline's big board. They list him as a third baseman, though, with plus power potential and an average hit tool. In that article, they also mentioned Gage Wood from Arkansas, who I've talked about on here as somebody that might be rising late. He had a good outing over Super Regional weekend against Tennessee. His fastball can get up into the upper 90s, sit mid-90s, and he was injured for a part of the year, so he's just working his way back, so maybe a little bit under the radar, but it's a 70-grade fastball according to MLB Pipeline. And Jonathan Mayo from MLB Pipeline gave his latest mock too, and he has the Braves taking Luke Stevenson, a catcher out of North Carolina. I don't really buy this one. But he is somebody, he's their 20th overall draft prospect. He has a below average hit tool, but plus power and a plus arm, a lefty bat, a draft eligible sophomore. I'd be a bit shocked if they took a catcher at 22 here. Mayo also mentioned some pitchers, considering the Braves always go to pitcher. The high schooler, Cruz Schoolcraft, college arms, JB Middleton from Southern Miss, Riley Quick from Alabama, Zach Root or Wood, both of those guys from Arkansas. I've mentioned some of those arms too of them. I think Riley Quick is the arm that I'd go after. Guy that can hit upper 90s, plus slider. That's, assuming, Gavin Keelan from Tennessee is off the board. Ike Irish from Auburn is off the board. And Daniel Pierce, the high schooler from Georgia, is off the board. Riley Quick would be the next one for me, or Max Blue out of Texas. Andrew Fisher, a name to watch for Tennessee. He's been having a big postseason, or was. Tennessee got eliminated, but he's a name that could be shooting up the board. And then a lot of people have mentioned Florida State shortstop Alex Lodis to me. I didn't get a chance to watch him a lot over this past weekend against Oregon State. I'll have to go back and watch that series. I don't think he's the guy that I'm taking at 22. If he were to fall to their next pick at 60, then maybe. Depending on what say you took a pitcher in the first round, you want to take a shot on him at 60. I don't know that he'd last that far, but he's not a first round talent for me. He's not 22nd overall type of talent for me from what I've seen so far. All right, that will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for joining me today. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment down below. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and we will talk to you next time.